What I want to suggest to you today, it will depend with your business and your focus. What I'm going to share with you is not cast on stone. This is primarily your personal preference with the options. But let me start with buying, and just to look at a few pros and cons for buying business premises. Buying business premises, of course, one, there is owner control. You can't be kicked away by someone giving you the lease. There is owner prestige. It's prestigious to say this is my building. Number 3, market perception. People tend to think you are stable, you are big, you are there to stay. Number 4 is asset financing. You can get a loan against the asset because it's yours. Whenever you go to a bank, they are looking for urban property. So with urban collaterals, you are better off. Number 5, appreciating asset. Once you buy an asset, years to come, often than not, the value goes up. Of course, sometimes there can be a house crash, but usually property values in the long run go up. There is additional income because when you put up a property or buy, you are likely not to utilize the entire space, and you may end up leasing some of the space to other tenants. So that's an additional income. But for everything good, there's some cons. One, there is the cost of buying, which is very high. And especially if you're going to look for a location that is convenient. 2, there is a cost of maintaining the building, which is usually high. That's not the case for the guys who are leasing. Number 3, it detours you from the business focus because now you're concerned with the building maintenance. You're concerned with renting office space. You're concerned with the complaints that the tenants are raising and other utilities, electricity, water, sewer. You're concerned with garbage collection. The weekend's cash flow, because of the cost of buying in the often than not, you're likely to be paying off for the premises for a long time. And finally, you lack flexibility. For most people, when they own a building, when they own property, they no longer think about the location objectively with changing tides because they want the customer to come to the building. When you don't own the building, you take the business where the customer is. I know a bank that took the branch to Gekoba. Wherever the customers are, they go. But when you own a building, you tend to be rigid. You want the customer to come where you have bought the property. Some of the pros for leasing or renting is cheaper to start a business. Relative to buying, is much cheaper. 2, better cash flow, it frees your money when you lease or rent. 3, risk mitigation. You transfer the risk to the owner of the property. It's no longer yours. Number 4, maintenance responsibilities are in the hands of the property owner, not yours. Well, they may tell you to paint the building, but major maintenance, like working on the car park, the gate, it's not in your hands. Business flexibility. If you think the customers are no longer coming to that property, you can wide it and go to a location which you think is which has more traffic. You tend to be more flexible when the property is not yours. Of course, some disadvantages of leasing property: lack of asset financing. The property is not yours. Financial institutions may refuse to fund you based on the property. You may attract some little funding because of what is inside the office. Cancellation of lease. Have you ever gone through this? You had a lease, 3 years later they did not renew the lease, or some of them were not even ethical. They were trying to kick you out before the expiry of the lease. So let me just take a few moments to compare and contrast brick and mortar and online business. A few pros for brick and mortar: personal relations with customers. You get to know each other at a personal level. There is a touch, there is a feel, you can hear them. So customer service is higher, truth be told. Another advantage, some services can only be rendered in person. As I said, look, if you honestly are unwell and you need to visit a dentist, that has to be done in person. If you're going to have your hair treated, you have to do it in person. So yeah, some services we don't have much of a choice. Some customers don't trust online buying. I've gone through that myself. Some of the products I sell online, I end up with people who are unable to attend my classes simply because they didn't know how to purchase online products. For example, I have a lot of online trainings, and I have the ones I'm doing in person, like I'm doing with you. I'm doing through webinar, I'm doing through Zoom, but there are others, they're available in Udemy. We have a couple of products in Udemy. And whichever we do, whether I'm doing by Zoom or whether I'm sending them to a training platform, some people still do not trust online buying. They think and they fear they are going to lose money. Have you gone through that? Where people are still wrestling with a lot of ignorance, a number of people treating technology at arm's length. They may even have gone to school. These may even be graduates, but they are yet to trust online buying. So another advantage of brick and mortar, sometimes we experience system breakdown with online. That happens a lot. I was taking a group from Dallas, Texas, through 10 weeks of mentorship. And there was a storm that hit Texas in February, and none of them could attend the program. So it was interfered. That may not have been the case if they were attending the training in a hotel. Some of the disadvantages of brick and mortar is the cost of rent. And like for me, I'm not ready for the rest of my life, unless God speaks otherwise, to open a building for training. That's what I did when I was in Nairobi. I was in Krishna Center, 3rd floor, and I had a team of employees. So when I came here in the US, I realized it was much, much easier to focus mainly online. Number 2, the cost of employees in brick and mortar, vis-a-vis when you're doing stuff on your own. Overhead costs, utilities, water, electricity, security, parking. Of course, again, brick and mortar, you rely on walk-ins. And of course, travel time from your house to the office. Like I imagine the traffic, I don't know whether things have changed, but if you're driving from a place like Umoja to the city, a place that you can drive in 10-15 minutes, sometimes takes more than an hour. Let's look briefly at some of the advantages of doing business online. Number 1, of course, you have flexibility in the sense that you can work from anywhere, anytime. I have a friend of mine, she lives here in the US, in Georgia. Her name is Jane Mukami. Jane Mukami basically focuses on ladies. That's her niche. And she helps them to keep fit, of course, through diet and exercise. This lady, she lives here in Georgia. She trains from all over the world. She can be on holiday in Indonesia, in Japan, but she doesn't lose her customers. Number 2, global customer base. And I will give you with my personal experience. When I focused on moving from one place to another to train, my market was very limited. It was limited to Kenya. Right now, and think about it, like I remember July 2019, I did 14 towns in Kenya for KCB. I did Taita Taveta, Voi, all the way to Kitale, Bugoma, Busia, Mombasa. Malidi, going around the country training, Mount Kenya region, Rift Valley. But right now, customers are attending from different cities in the same country. But my online programs right now, and this is an encouragement to those of you who are in training, and I know even some of you know what I'm saying because you follow me online, are coming virtually from every continent. So that's a major advantage you have. You are no longer constrained to your geographical borders. Number 3, global visibility. You tend to be seen far and wide. Whatever happens in one corner of the world, I write daily articles. The one I posted before sleeping, when you guys were waking up, the last time I checked it, it had already gone viral. So you start being seen globally. So your brand becomes stronger. Please, if you have been running away from social media and you feel social media is not professional, please change your mind. I urge you, change your mind. Right now, you'll be surprised. We have Twitter presidents, Facebook prime ministers, LinkedIn kings. Number 4, cheaper to start business, of course. Brick and mortar is expensive. Right now, businesses that used to be very hard to start on brick and mortar are much easier to do it online. Saves travel time from one place to another because you can work from home, from a hotel, from wherever you are. As I say, if I'm going to speak somewhere, I'll still do my online trainings. Less cost of doing business because you realize many things we used to have people do for us. A lot of employees, a lot of resources required because you need a tea girl, maybe security, maybe you required an accountant to do stuff for you. Right now you can outsource them. The person who does my accounts is in Kenya. The person who does my video editing is in Kenya. So what I did with my employees, no brick and mortar anymore. Everybody was from home. They have clear deliverables. Every week, I have videos that must be delivered by my video editor. He's on monthly payroll. But since we are no longer paying the office and all those amenities, I was able to raise the salary for staff members. So they are more motivated. Less risks associated with the brick and mortar like fire, burglary, theft, riots. Faster transactions. Doing business is much easier, much faster. Just think about this. You are also not getting late for class as people would normally get late much more when they had to travel. Of course, there are a few disadvantages of online business, let's face it. Lack of personal touch. We are the most connected generation, regrettably. We are the most disconnected, disjointed generation. Isolation and loneliness leads a lot of time to depression. There are more suicidal cases with online trading because people are failing to meet, and we are lacking to feel each other at a very personal way. Sometimes we have internet downtime, collapse, internet, you have no Wi-Fi, and that can mess up online business. Even if it's temporal, customers have options. Cyber hacking, sometimes information gets stolen. And I want to just give you an advice. Whenever you're trying to sell online, don't give an email address where you keep other stuff. Give an email address where no serious thing is there, like your bank accounts, you've never shared them there, and your serious details have never appeared there. Don't joke with hackers. Every time you give them your email address, because you're trying to get some information from the customer, maybe they met you on Instagram or Facebook, and then you need them to drop something on email. Be careful what email address you give. If you're recruiting employees, just create an email for that purpose and destroy it after that. Cyber hackers are always a step ahead of the guys who develop the apps. Clients' personal limitations on technology, because you may be very tech as a trader, as an entrepreneur, as a merchandiser, as a businesswoman, But again, where are your customers? Are they at the same level? Are you pulling from the same wavelength? That's the real question.